Hello and good day, Algebra. We are continuing Unit 1 with PO3, our first power objective of the unit, and it's a big one, okay? Basically, everything operationally that we do in math comes back to this right here, the order of operations. And why it matters is because if you have something like 3 plus 4 times 7, without the order of operations, you could get two different answers, which could be a bad thing. Right? Because if I ask you for 3 plus 4 times 7, and in my head, I want 49, but you say 31, and you could make a case for why that's right, that's going to be a problem. Okay? So, first of all, let's kind of go through how could 3 plus 4 times 7 equals 49? How could you make a case that that is the correct value? Beckman.
Do 3 plus 4 and then multiply that by 7.
Sure, 3 plus 4 is 7, and multiply that by 7, you get 49. How could you make a case that 3 plus 4 times 7 is equal to 31? Alex?
7 times 4 plus 3 equals 31.
Sure. If you multiply first, then you get 28 plus 3 gives you the 31. And unfortunately, it's not just, kind of you get to pick. Okay, we have a rule that we follow here, and that is the order of operations. Earlier in class, someone threw out the acronym PEMDAS. It should be PERMDAS. PERMDAS people, it's been proven by studies that I've done, have better lives than people who use PEMDAS. Okay, so we want to use PERMDAS. So let's write it out here. PERMDAS. You probably recognize that as the beginning of your Khan Academy password. That was intentional. Okay, PERMDAS. And this is the order in which you need to do operations when solving an equation. I'm getting a phone call. No doubt it is very important. So let me pause this. So anyway, we were talking here about how the order of operations kind of is the key to evaluating expressions, and as we're going to get to in a little bit, solving equations as well. P stands for parentheses, okay? And parentheses, they aren't really an operation. You can't parenthesize something, like you can multiply, you can add, but they are a grouping symbol. They kind of beat everything. It's like the Joker if you're playing poker, right? It beats everything. We'll talk about how in just a little bit. The E stands for Noah Beckman. I need you two focusing up here, okay? Exponents, right? An exponent looks like a little raised number above either a variable or a number. Okay, so that x squared, that 3 squared. We talked about what exponents mean. You multiply something times itself. R stands for radicals. Okay, and it is that square root symbol like we were introduced to in CO2, even though you've probably seen it before. And then MDAS, you're familiar with these. You've got multiplication. D is for division. A is for addition. And S is for subtraction. Okay? And that would be your order of operations. Alex?
Can you put this on your notebook?
Yes, this is a key point, so this can go on a help sheet. So back to our two equations at the top here, 3 plus 4 times 7 and 3 plus 4 times 7. Which one's correct? Does that equal 49 or does that equal 31? Vincent? Equals? No. Following the order of operations, we need to do this 4 times 7 first. Following the order of operations, you need to do that 4 times 7 first. Okay? You've got to be paying close attention when evaluating expressions like this so you do the order of operations correctly. It can be sneaky. Okay? So the correct answer to the way that this is written is 31. If we wanted it to be 49, however, this is where we get to parentheses aren't actually an operation, but they beat everything else. What would we need to do? Bryn?
Put a parentheses around 3 and 4.
Put parentheses around 3 and 4. Now this says add first to get 7, multiply by 7, and you'll get 49. Okay? Questions on any of this thus far? All right. Moving on down the page, where I believe we just jump straight into practicing here. Right? It says, even though you will not be able to use a calculator on this part of the test, because here's the thing about calculators, they always do the correct order of operations. And I'm not testing whether or not you can press buttons in the right order, okay? I'm testing whether or not you can do the order of operations. So you will not be able to use one on this part of the test. However, you can use it now to check your answer, okay? When you do this, plug exactly what you see into your calculator and see if that answer matches what you got. This is a great 5-card challenge practice. That's why I have the 5-card challenge in the math packets, because not only are you writing those equations, you need to be using correct order of operations and thinking about exactly what that means. Yeah. You don't need it now, so no. You can get it when we're done recording, though. It says, evaluate each equation. Check your answer by identifying each step. Do you think, oh, intelligent 7th graders, do you think that I left you this much space so that when you get your answer, you can just write it really big? No. Why do you think I gave you this much space, Kylie? So you can show me your steps. Work is always required. Okay? Always required. So what does work for this look like? I'm glad I asked. 7 plus 6 divided by the difference of 7 minus 1. What are we doing first? What are we doing first? Catherine? We're taking 7 minus 1 first. So what I want you to do is I want you to underline that as being your first step, and then rewrite the equation with that step completed. So the next line would read 7 plus 6 divided by 6. Because 7 minus 1, that's what we do first, that equals 6. Okay? Now what? Now what? Joey? So you would underline 6 divided by 6 being your next step, which equals 1. And so your third line would read 7 plus 1. And now, of course, we're at our very last step, so we can solve it. You have plenty of room left. If you do want to write your answer big, you still can. Look at this. Woo! Okay? But I do need to see the work shown. I do need to see the work shown. Let's look at the second one. What are we doing first here? Raise your hand if you can tell me. Claire. 4 squared. You're going to underline that. And 4 squared equals 16. Thank you for not saying 8. Every time that someone just multiplies by 2 instead of squaring it, I move just that much closer, just retiring, just throwing the marker down and walking out of the room. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. Of course, now I told you that, you're going to do it all the time. But still, 4 squared is not 4 times 2. If we meant 4 times 2, we would write 4 times 2, right? We wrote 4 squared. What comes next? Yeah. 16 divided by 8, so I'm underlining that. My next line, I'm rewriting it. 16 divided by 8 is 2. And now that I'm at my last one, 2 plus 2, I can write my answer really big. That's 4. Third one. We've got some options here. What could we do first? Ellen, what would you like to do first? We could do 72 divided by 3 first. What else could we do first? Bryn? Why doesn't it matter here? Why doesn't it matter? I mean, PERMDAS. Multiplication comes before division, but why does it matter? Yeah. Right. They're separate, right? One doesn't affect the other. So you could do them both in the same step if you wanted to. Notice how I underlined this negative sign as well. Okay. That actually says negative 2 times 3. All right. If you did 2 times 3, you probably wrote minus 6 anyways. But just get in the habit of the sign before a number belongs to it. Okay. So that is a negative 2 times 3. That'll come up big when we start to get longer equations and solving and things like that. So 72 divided by 3 is 24. And then plus 6. And then negative 2 times 3 is a negative 6. Next question. What could we do next? Kylie? Do we have to do that next? Because addition comes before subtraction? We do not. Okay, we do not. One of the secrets about PermDAWs, and maybe you've seen this on social media before, it's got like order of operations questions, and people get into arguments about what the actual answer is. Maybe not so much on your news feeds because the algorithm gives you brain degrading stuff instead of brain building stuff. But addition and subtraction and multiplication and division and exponents and radicals are all kind of in the same groups, okay? Addition and subtraction being opposite operations, it doesn't matter which one you do first. Typically, we'd say work from left to right, but if I did this first and got 30 minus 6, which equals 24, or if I did this first, positive 6 minus 6 equals 0, notice I get the same answer. Okay? So it really doesn't make a difference which one you do first when you get down to operations on the same level. Typically, though, we'd say work from left to right. But either way, it gets us to the same result. Last one to go over together. 9 plus 1, that's sum divided by 3 squared. What are we doing first? What can we do first? What do you want to do first? We have someone we haven't heard from yet today, perhaps. Get a new Aiden. We could do that first. What could we do in the same step? Anthony? Why can we do parentheses and exponents in the same step? Why can we do it in the same step? Because they don't affect each other, right? They're separated by division, which we do after both of those anyway. So we get 10 divided by 3 squared, which is? Thank you. Yeah, see, now they, okay. And every year I get kids, come at me now and say, well, wait, 10 divided by 9, I can't use a calculator and that doesn't work out even. What do I do? Okay. Remember, no, you don't even need to figure it out. We're in pre-algebra now. We don't have to divide everything out to its decimal. How can we rewrite this?
10 over 9.
Yeah. Remember that a fraction is just division. Okay? And so if you ever get something that doesn't divide evenly, write it as a fraction. Arlene then went so far as to convert that to a mixed number. You don't have to do that either. Improper fractions actually are going to be used most commonly now. Okay, starting with algebra and moving forward. So 10/9 would be your answer. I heard someone say, why is that division? Okay, well, think about what a fraction means. Let's get one that works out evenly. If you have something like 12/4, you can think about it as, how can we divide 12 objects into 4 groups? How many will be in each group, right? That's what a fraction is, 12 divided by 4. Our division symbol kind of looks like a fraction. These 2 dots represent numbers, right? One over the other. That's where the division symbol comes from, okay? So get used to thinking as fraction and division as interchangeable, all right? Questions on this? Okay. Looking at the next page, what your homework is going to be. You've got several to practice on. You need to show your work. If all you come with tomorrow is an answer, I'm going to assume that you just used a calculator, which is not what I'm after here. Work needs to be shown. But Mr. Schultz, I did my work on a separate sheet of paper. Then bring the sheet of paper. Okay? If you do your work somewhere else, fine, but bring it. I need to see the work. So you've got 8 of them that are just like the ones on the front side that we did together. And then down at the bottom here, parentheses can greatly affect the value of an expression. Evaluate each expression for n equals 3. So we get a little bit of practice of plugging a variable into something and finding the value. For each of these, n is 3. So for this first one, 4 times 3 squared is what that turns into. Just recall that a number in front of a variable means you're multiplying them. But when I plug a number in for the variable, I can't just write, 43 squared, or because it looks like 43, right? When it should be 4 times 3. So 4 times 3 squared, and then use order of operations to evaluate that. The next one, same kind of deal, only now we have that 4n in parentheses. How do parentheses change things here? Okay, so you can work through all of them. And then the bottom section says place parentheses in the equation to make it equal to 45. So if we evaluate 60 minus 7 plus 4 times 2, the way it's written, we don't get 45. I want you to place parentheses to change the order of operations so that it does equal 45. Does anybody see what we would do here? Where would you put parentheses to make that equal 45? Arlene?
Around 7 plus 4.
Right? Now we've got to do that part first. 7 plus 4 times 2 equals 15. 60 minus 15 equals 45. 7 plus 4 times 2 is 15. Remember, multiply first. That's 8. See, you got order of operations. They all goes back to that. Okay? All goes back to that. So, that is PO3. Being a power objective, that means that you have to pass this. This is critical, and I think you can see why. Critical to success in algebra. So if you don't pass it on the unit test, you will be required to do the retake for it after the fact. So this is one you really want to know. Okay? Homework for tomorrow, work through PO3. Make sure you show all of your work. Any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, comments, congratulations, or criticisms? Yes. Very well. Nothing? All right, folks, that's how you math.